Well, my guest today is from TLC's Trading Spaces. You will likely recognize her name, certainly recognize her face and her hair. Her name is Laurie Smith. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, Tim. So good to be here.
Good to have
Or
you.
on
Yeah, or
camera.
remotely, right?
Whatever this is, yeah.
You don't mind being connected with Trading Spaces for all time, do you?
Oh my goodness, no. Forever grateful. Not only because of the friendships that it brought me, but the professional opportunities it has brought me. It has, forever grateful, forever grateful.
I would assume you were obviously already interested in design. That's how you would have gotten the gig in the first place. But do you feel like it shaped or more streamlined where you've gone with your career since?
Oh, yeah. Well, ironically, I had a background of theater, journalism, and then went to design school for graduate school in New York at the New York School of Interior Design. So I never dreamed that I could kind of marry the theatrical broadcast element, part of me with the design element. So from that alone, that was amazing. I love teaching at my core, and that's what Trading Spaces really was. To me, it was letting everyone know that design is accessible to everyone, and that everyone deserves to have a home and a space that reflects them, because when it does that, it's going to nurture them. And that's what it's about.
And you could do it on a budget, right? And have fun while you did it and all sorts of stuff.
I loved the $1,000 budget. It made me think so creatively, granted, I would also love it when, and we even had a show when we had $50,000 to do one room. It was a $100,000 episode, and I will not complain. That is always fun when someone hands you a big budget and says,
right.
Please help, but no, I loved the confines of the time and the budget. As an artist, it really makes one think creatively. So
I find it super interesting that you've spent your life in other people's homes, designing them and things, and now you kind of are stuck inside your own.
Or one would think I'm actually at my parents' home in Florida. So I'm still not home. What's wrong with this picture?
Now, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing. My parents are healthy. Thank the Lord. They are in that vulnerable age, although I think we're learning that there really is no particular vulnerable age. But we were planning, my daughter and I, my daughter's 13, her name's India, and we were planning to take a spring break. I had taken my son to go see colleges right before they all closed. My son Gibson's about to apply to college. And so I had taken him on that trip, and then he was back at school, and then we were going on another trip that was canceled because of the virus. So then we said, well, we'll just go. My parents are retirees in Florida, so we'll just go to Florida and have spring break with them. And then the world closed. So I had to scramble back to Nashville, Tennessee, where I live, and retrieve our dog who was in a kennel. And they were calling saying, we can't keep the dogs,
Right.
And I'm like, this is a problem. I got to come get my dog, so.
And that's not a short drive.
No, it is not. And, it's about 8 hours. And I didn't want any exposure, because at that point, this was a month ago. We just didn't know what was going on. We still, don't. But at that point, I was particularly vigilant because I was coming back to my parents in their mid-70s. So I literally just went straight there through my front door. The kennel brought my dog out, and I got right back on the road,
Out of curiosity, other than the dog, you had to grab something. This is kind of like your house is on fire. What are the first things you grab thing?
I know, and I'm going to be embarrassed to admit, well, I did grab my laptop because I had left it behind thinking I'm going to cut off for spring break.
Right.
And just, so I had to grab that. I've been a coffee addict my whole life, and it's not good, or it is good, but not in the capacity I was drinking it. And I had someone convince me to switch to matcha tea. And the only way, and I love it, but the only way I'm able to tolerate it is if I froth milk. and it has to be a certain consistency. I know it sounds crazy. So I grabbed my frother so I can have
Everybody's
my
got
mom
their thing. It could be way
their
worse,
thing.
Laurie.
There
Yeah.
it is. It was a frother. And some, my daughter's like, grab board games. We haven't played board games in so long. So we've become Scrabble, Yahtzee, Sequence, you
Yep.
name it. We're having family tournaments around here, which is
I would
kind of
assume
fun.
this also means you're having to do some homeschooling as well as designing.
Oh yes. Yes, I am. And I know now why I'm a designer and not a school teacher. I
I
love
think a
to
lot
teach
of
design.
parents are falling into that category, right?
Right. But she's
What are you
doing a great
struggling most
job.
with? What is there a subject that's just driving you crazy?
Well, it's, I'll be honest, one of the reasons we moved to Nashville is there's an amazing school there that helps kids with dyslexia, and all the kids there have that challenge. And so it becomes increasingly challenging when you have a child who, is taught by a certain protocol and with reading and math in different ways, different strategies. And I'm not personally equipped. So that has been very challenging, but the teachers have been amazing, and it takes a village, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Now, do you normally work from home, like pre all of this stuff for your design business? Were you
Yeah,
working out of your house?
I do a lot out of my house. I do. And that's just really been a manifestation of moving a couple of times in the last 4 years or so. We made a quick move to Memphis and Nashville. It's been a long story, but so I've just been taking on independent work and operating from home. And I'm writing a blog, which I love because
Really?
it's back to journalistic roots. I wrote a book back in 2005 called Discovering Home, and I love to write. So I've been real fortunate. It's an Italian tile company that's opened a domestic USA office out of Franklin, Tennessee, which is a suburb of Nashville. And so I'm not writing just about, not about tile. It is strictly about design, which I love. So it will actually launch this week on atlasconcordusa.com. And my first topic, which I think is timely, is creating nurturing spaces in the home.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
very
think
timely.
very timely.
So obviously we want people to go read the blog, and we'll link to it in the comments of the YouTube channel. However, could you give us a little bit of a preview as to, I know everybody's trying to create those types of
I
spaces right
know.
now because they realize
I
home
know.
isn't quite equipped for all of this. What do you
I know.
suggest?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing is really reevaluating the maximum use of a space. Like, for instance, my parents have a spacious entry hall that just sits there, and obviously no one's coming in the front door these days, so and it gets great natural light, but it was a wasted space. So we brought down a little table, basically almost like a makeshift card table that we've set up, and it has all of India's needs, a thing of pens, trying to get her supplies, stack of paper. I try to keep fresh flowers around to lift people's moods. But we have created a school office for her, and it's, far enough removed from the rest of the family. So, we've been intentional about her having her own space. And as much, whether you're in solitude or togetherness, especially, well, if you're in solitude, you don't have to be as intentional about creating places to escape to, but a lot of people are having to do that. So, as a family, sitting down and saying, okay, kind of trying to speak up what your needs are, for at least a couple hours a day, I need my space. So designating, well, what is that for you? And so, and just kind of coming up with new rules. I know lots of families have done that. Like, he stays on this side, I stay on this side, we're doing, and so, but I think natural light, thank goodness we're coming into spring. Open those windows up if you can. Get out for a walk, even if it's just around the block twice a day. Will lift the spirits. And then if you have any flowers growing in your garden, or you're able to go to the grocery and they still have flowers, it's amazing what bringing fresh flowers onto a coffee table or the kitchen counter will do. So tiny little intentional things like that. I had one designer tell me that she brought fresh eucalyptus leaves into a container in her shower and did a steam shower in the eucalyptus.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
people are dealing with seasonal allergies, which of course, you know, all of us are a little bit dealing with, and we cough and we're like, no, no,
Right.
don't cough.
It's not Corona, I promise.
But you know, I read that tip. I can't claim it, but I think it was genius. And so she's, you know, really thinking of creative, nurturing things to do right now at this time.
Well, that's good stuff. I look forward to reading the full article, and again,
Yeah.
we'll link to it. Thank
Thank you.
you so much for your time, Laurie. Appreciate it. It was very nice to spend some time with you. I hope you and your kids and your parents are safe and healthy, and you get back to Nashville here very, very soon.
You as well. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Laurie Smith from Trading Spaces. We will connect you to that blog she spoke of in the information down below, as well as all of her social media sites, so you can find her online. In the meantime, subscribe, like, share with your family and friends, and we'll see you next time right here from my home with At Home with Tim Sinclair.